Okay, you have to understand that we would really need to understand one more thing, that it's easier to get a grade over here. We don't have to exactly learn stuff, but rather need to understand the concepts. And that's the, ambition, and that's the aim that we're going to follow for. What about you, Safat? Safat, can you please share your idea? It's lovely to listen to you.
Miss, I'm excited to learn new
You
stories.
stories you wanted to learn and appreciate, okay, some of the storylines that you'll be going through. Okay, Azhar Khalid is remaining. Yes, beta. Azhar. Azhar Khalid.
Yes, I just wanted.
Absolutely.
I've
Just
already
respond. You have already? Sorry, I don't know. I'm so sorry. Your voice is being interrupted. Can you please say it again?
already studied this subject a few years back. I just wanted to, but I had to leave it for some reason because I shifted schools. So I'll be continuing it. That's why I've taken up again.
So welcome back to your passion. Welcome back to your the lovely interest that you have. In fact, I should have written over here, share your lovely thoughts about literature. What excites you about this course? Let's move on. Once you have talked about that, you would like to know about the different stories or things that have happened before in the centuries. You need to travel back in time. Also, it is more modernized in version also, like the syllabus. So when you're looking at the plot frames, when you're looking at the novels, when you're looking at drama, when you're looking at all of the other thematic content, themes are going to be coming into play. So I have used images on the screen that you can see over here, if you can see my arrow. So guess the themes game. Your entire literature course revolves around certain themes like, can you name this theme? For example, this theme is so obvious. It is love. All right. So what is the opposite of it? And it says rest in peace, and a tombstone has been made. So what do you think would this theme be about? This image.
Death, sadness, probably.
Death, very good. Death, sadness, loss. So please write it down. Make a point, write in your notebook. This is your very first class. Put up the date for today. Today is 9th of August, 2021. And we are beginning with a very warm-up session in which we are looking at the various themes which are incorporated in my writings. I mean, in our syllabus writings.
Miss,
Next.
sorry to interrupt you. Can you just wait for a second? I'll grab my notebook.
Yeah, why not? Safad and Azhar, they're already there with us. So we have two themes which are very obvious. Now the slides are going to get a bit more difficult because I'm going to, throw some more images at you and you need to catch the themes. Okay, that's great. That's great. All right, so we have death, we have love. Okay, these are basically two separate images. These are two separate images. So can you please let me know which theme? What do you see here?
Lifestyle, you can say.
No.
One is sad,
Okay.
one is happy, one I cannot interpret.
Okay. No, you can. Azhar, Khalid, and Safat. So the best part about the class is going to be that we are talking to each other, number one. Number two, we are thinking, we are reflecting, all right? So this, what do you call this man as his post or his position? What do we call? Where do you think he's going to be positioned in?
War, maybe.
War, very good. So this theme is war. Please write it down. Your theme number 3 is going to be war-related poems even. I'm just giving you an idea that yes, we will be discussing, because when you said that we're going to go back into the time, we are going to look at some of the, worst, phases that have taken place in the history, and that has been World War I and World War II. So we are not going to study the whole thing, but yes, war is definitely there. Now you see over here the two different genders, obviously, a woman and
Probably
a man.
inequality.
Excellent. Inequality. Let's say gender discrimination. We are going to read about gender discrimination. All right.
Okay.
So now my next slide is going to be posed to first Safad and Azhar. Manur Marshall has been like the spokesperson. Very good. I'm happy. So,
Thank you.
so you're welcome. But I'm going to look forward for the other responses as well. So we're going to look at this image in the first place. It's quite horrific, because in the background you have this white, these ghostly creatures, and with their wide mouths open. But it's a very symbolic. And what do these people? Yes, Safar. Yes,
Racism.
beta. Excellent, Safar. Congratulations. So we are already getting on to our syllabus, already. I'm so delighted by this idea where you are guessing. Yes, indeed, it's racism. And over here, they are white people because, they have condemned the people of color. We are going to be using decent language rather than calling any other negative terms. So people of color, a lot of people say black community, that's fine. But yes, we're going to deal with a lot of like 1960s stuff. Now over here, so Safad, you have taken your turn. Manu, you have taken your turn. Now we're left with Azhar Khalid, the most adorable Azhar. So we are looking over here, and I mean it, adorable, yeah. So what do you see over here? This is back in the 18th century. And what you see in the background is basically what? Tell me. Take your
Looks like
time.
child labor.
Looks like child labor. Indeed, it is child labor. So this is 18th century. We are referring to the Industrial Revolution. Please write it down, child labor. It actually sparked in the 18th century. And 18th century is resonating. It resonates for Victorian era, Queen Victoria. So, and it is a universal theme. Racism, child labor, it has its own universal appeal to it. All right, so we are moving on further. So I'll give you 1 minute, and I want you to write down at least 3 different names for this particular theme. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Nobody is telling me. Take your time. Write on 1, 2, at least 2 impressions about this picture. All right, so have we written down anything?
Yes, Miss, I wrote 2 impressions. One, I wrote depression, and because it looks like he's very depressed. And second, I wrote loss, because I think he's very old. Maybe he lost maybe his wife or something. So
excellent. So one minute, Manu. In your entire answer, I mean, the response that you have given me, the key theme has been hidden in it. So you have said loss, you have said old, you have said sad or depressed something. Yes, the theme is going to be depression. Okay, let's take some other responses as well, and then we're gonna get back to it, because I made it so. Okay, thank you. Safat, what have you written, beta?
Miss, senior citizens, how society treats senior citizens.
Senior citizens. Yes, you've put it up in the best possible way, senior citizen. Azhar, what have you written, dear?
Yes, I wrote the same: sadness, depression. It's like
Depression. But I made it so obvious, the wrinkle face and, those longing eyes. So yes, depression, anxiety, all of your answers are right. The best part about literature is that you are making multiple interpretations. The actual theme was actually, aging, youth versus aging. All right, old age
Yes.
versus youth. Please write it down. Keep on writing, making some bullet points so that you can be in tuned to what you will be studying. I cannot do that like the very first class. All right, this is a novel, we're going to start off. But first of all, you need to absorb what exactly you're going to be dealing with. So aging is the most important element because it talks about the phenomena of life. It talks about the philosophy of life as well. A lot of people accept uh you know the youth, and they symbolize it with summer season, which is vibrant and colorful and happening. And then acceptance doesn't come with being old. So that is a basic point. Next, we are moving on. All right, so we'll discuss about this later. I'm sure you must be looking at this side. So a track in the middle and a girl sitting on this side. So what do you look into this picture? What is happening? Are they holding something in their hands? What exactly is this? Who is going to tell
They've
me?
probably had a heartbreak.
Heartbreak. It's breakup, breaking up of relationships. So yes, there are certain themes, specifically when it comes to your poetry section, you would have some breaking up of relationships. And one of the most extraordinary poem that you would be reading is called Song, and it's written by Lady Mary Rose. And I will share with you, not today, but probably in the later classes, and you would realize that never trust anyone when it comes to your love life. And she's giving out all ladies a message, a wise advice that she's dropping in. So yeah, it deals with certain details. And then we look at this side. So what do you see in this picture? What this theme is going to be? What do you
Family.
see as family? Very good, family values. So please write it down, family values. So can we just quickly recap how many themes that we have just guessed? And I would ask Azhar Khalid to please recap for us, starting from the beginning.
all the themes that we've covered.
Yeah, yes.
So it was racism, child labor, gender discrimination, old age versus youth, breaking up of relationships, and family values.
And the very first slide, love and death. Please include that. Excellent. So you have this idea. Now here is drum rolling, and you've got your idea about the paper. So basically in English literature 9695, you will be appearing for 2 papers. All right. First of all, understand. Don't just keep on writing and writing, just understand. All right. So we have paper 1, and this is called drama and poetry section. The drama is a modern drama text that you have been given over here, and the poetry section. So what are these? Learners study 2 texts, 2 set text, from one from section A and one from section B. So basically, when you look at the syllabus, the original syllabus, you've got multiple texts in there. But what we have chosen are these ones. All My Sons is the name of the drama. It's written by Arthur Miller. Who is Arthur Miller? He was definitely an American playwright, and he was interested in the lifestyle of a common man. He was interested in common man's tragedy. People who were looking forward for living an American dream. Arthur Miller happens to be Marilyn Monroe's husband. I mean, Marilyn Monroe, one of the iconic actress of the 1970s, and who committed suicide after getting married to Arthur Miller. So what he did, we'll get into that. So there is one of the most strongest, the most strong theme that has been used in this play, and that is called, in particular, suicide. But more than that, it's about family virtues and relationships. So you have All My Sons, then you have, for 25 mark, Songs of Ourselves Volume 2. Now this is a poetry book, and it's a collection of um, a variety of poems, but the examiner has asked us to do only few selected ones. And how many there are in total? There are 25 poems, and they are 1.5 page long, or some of them are even half a page. So there is going to be a poetry section and then a drama section. 25 marks will be making your 50 marks. Is there any question over here? These two
No.
books will be, okay, thank you. These two books will be provided to you by college. The resource packs have been given. They'll be shortly, photocopied, and the sets will be given to you. So, because obviously it depends, but the novel I think you would need to buy, because there is a charm, there is a, it's so fascinating to hold your own book at the same time. All My Sons by Arthur Miller, I'm going to dig deeper gradually, but I just wanted to tell you that it's a modern play that one you can read and understand quite easily. It has minimal characters, but it's an eye-opening and, quite thrilling at the same time. Next paper, paper 2, is known as Prose and Unseen. Prose in literature means novel. So which novel are we going to do? The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. This is written by Mark Twain. The writer's name has not been mentioned over here. Can you please write it down? It's written by Mark Twain. I'm writing over here. You can see I'm using for everyone. It says Marktwain. Mark Twain. It's written by Mark Twain. This is the book which I would definitely recommend you to buy and start reading it. And the best part about this is that idea that Mark Twain changed the entire history of American literature. He came and he said, all right, I met in my childhood, there are like my best of the 3 friends, and he created one character, and he happens to be Huckleberry Finn. So, and one thing which is also even more interesting, that Mark Twain was a traveler, and he traveled by sea and he explored. He had a lot of experience about, socializing with people, and he had written about different people. So he definitely prepares you as a literature student for real life incidents. How you need to be taking your own life decisions at times when you'll be put into certain circumstances. So it's a psychological insight into the development of a child from an adult. So it's a brilliant book. It's very much different, by the way, from Charles Dickens' Oliver Twist. We are not talking about that. Next, we have 25 mark critically comment. Now it's unseen. Now don't be threatened by the unseen. The best part about this section is it gives you maximum marks, because the examiner is ready to give you a benefit of doubt. I haven't shown you the paper yet. It's too early for me to give you the details in the first place, but I believe that you'll be able to understand in a better way what exactly are we looking at. So there will always be a choice given to you. A modern poem will be given, or a prose text. I mean, there will be a choice in between, and you will be given that text. I will give you the methodology. I will make you practice how you need to comment, how you need to look at the language and style of a certain text, and then we are going to analyze it. The analysis will be formulaic. It will follow a set of rules. You need to follow it and you need to create interpretation. It sounds bigger, but the moment you're going to grasp onto the basics, you will find it way easier. All right, you have questions over here. Please ask me.
No,
This is
Miss,
your
I
yeah, this is your entire paper 1 and paper 2. This is all about it. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is going to be a bit elaborate, but there is a way to read it. Those who don't know how to read a book, basically, I'll tell them and I'll share some of the life-saving hacks. Like there are times when you're holding up a book and you're reading line by line and sometimes you're dozing off. No, we don't do that. We are very selective and we skim and scan in the best possible way. So that is going to be done also with you. Next. All right. Now this is something very important. Start reading your text, obviously, as soon as you'll get your hands onto it, and specifically All My Sons. This is why do you think this play would be titled as All My Sons? Any clue, any idea?
Miss,
Why
we
would you?
are sons. मतलब ये हम
We,
hint हुए sons का.
all right, that's good. So we all have been symbolized as sons, like the nation's young men who have been serving in army. Please write it down. All My Sons was written in the background of World War II, right after World War II. The Great Depression has hit, and the sons, the young army, the young men, the young soldiers who have been serving across the border and who have been dead. I mean, who have the families who have lost their loved ones, it has been dedicated. So if you're thinking it's going to be a sad one, no, not at all. It is more thrilling. It's more horrific at the same time. There are no like shooting of the guns as such, but there is a dilemma. See the crisis, the critical tension of the character has been built. And how you're going to read the text, I will show you. Let me just quickly go. Yeah, I wanted to share this scene with you. I'll get back to the previous slide, but I wanted to show you this. This is All My Sons' very first scene, the very opening part. And you see this young lady who happens to be the fiance of his younger brother. So over here we have Joe Keller, the Keller's family. And this tree, what do you see in this picture? Let me not comment on it. You tell me how this man has been looking at her and how is she reacting? Why would you think this had probably struck down? This tree in the backyard. This is, by the way, a backyard of an American house, and this is a theatrical play, absolutely. So how would you think is he reacting? What kind of an expression do you think is on his face and then on his
Scorn?
face? Scorn. I mean, he's frowning. Yes, he's like tucked his eyebrows like that, and over here he's being inquisitive also, and she just has no idea what is happening. um she is highly a superstitious woman, and if you notice in any other version of All My Sons, she's been wearing apron, right? And you would see in other scenes she's been wearing cardigan. She always feels cold out of being frightened or scared, and she thinks that she has lost her son in the war, and nobody knows any clue about it, and there is a mystery to it. Spoilers alert, only this lady knows about it. Her name is Anna, and she knows about what happened to her fiance, but she is not letting them know. So it's quite interesting. The audiences know, and they're waiting for that pivotal moment when it is going to be unfolded. So it's really a good idea to look at a play from the plot frame. You have to understand the plot frame. Now let's go back. No, not the poetry one. I need to skip and go back to the slides so that I can share with you What about this? So yeah, so we were looking at this part. I need to just skip some of the slides very quickly. Yes, so how we are supposed to be reading, you need to read it smartly and annotate. Anyone knows anything about annotation? Annotation, what do we mean by annotate? When you're reading the test, how many of you hold up a pen, hold up a marker, underline them? Sometimes you make a, make an ear dog, you fold the page, you enter a bookmark, you annotate, you highlight. This cartoon tells us you are a masterpiece. Let's go over this one more time. As an English literature student, you need to read twice a text, not the whole thing, but somewhere or the other way, you have to read it. And the best thing that you can help yourself with is to download Anki flashcards. Please write it down. Reading smartly, I'm telling you some of the most important things to keep in your mind. Anki flashcards, A-N-K-I, Anki flashcards. The moment you will download it and you will write at the top, all my sons, you will get dozens and loads of all my sons flashcards upon themes, context. A good A-level student is one who is resourceful. A good A-level literature student is one who has great research skills. And not to forget that the class is going to make you more confident in terms of getting yourself open with and identified with different online available resources as well. Sometimes you don't feel like reading a chapter and you can easily go back to pinkmonkey.com. You can go to Spark Notes. You can go to literature charts. I will give you a list of these websites and you can make your life easier. There's a drama. I will share the link of this drama. You can watch the drama, then read the play. So it's going to be way more different in that way. So the next part that we are looking at is the other poetry basics. Poetry basics are very, very important. In my next class, I will be writing down on the screen as well. I will be sharing, but today is my intro class. So I'm giving you an idea about paper one. We have All My Sons and we have poetry. You cannot launch yourself into poetry unless and until you know some basics. At least few basics. It's technical. You must have studied physics, maths, and they must have taught you numericals and formulas to it. Almost the same way in poetry, you have certain terminologies. Mahnur, would you please read this slide for me?
Write down the terms and its definitions to better understand the poetic work.
Please continue reading.
What are sonnets, quatrain, sestet,
Excellent.
octave, couplet, stressed syllable, unstressed syllable?
Good, good.
Themes that you'll
Okay.
study.
You'll study. We have already talked about it. Love, death, war, family tradition, racism, gender discrimination. Is there any question? Do you know, Azhar, we're not testing you. We have deep respect for that. I really appreciate that you have already studied literature. But any idea, do you remember in any way that you were taught sonnets? Sonnet is a style of a poem. Sonnet is a style of a poem, right? Any clue, any idea? What do you mean by sonnets? By the way, sonnet in Pakistani context, we have a name for chocolate as well. So, and there is a musical instrument made on it, as in like violin. So indeed, sonnet is a poem which has only 14 lines. How many lines do we have in a sonnet? Please write it down. Are we writing? Safat, Azhar, Mahanur, are we writing it down, beta?
Yes, Miss, we're
Sonnets,
writing it down.
very good. Sonnet is a poem which has 14 lines to it. Okay, that's good. It has 14 lines. All right. The first 8 lines will be called octave, and it's right here on number 3. First 8 lines. 8 lines are known as octave. You can mention, why not just copy quatrain, sestet, octave, couplet. Write down this. In front of octave, please write down 8 lines. Sestet is going to be 6 lines. 6 lines remaining. So 6 plus 8, how many in total? 14 lines, right? So we have sestet, we have octave, and then we have quatrain. Quatrain is separate. Please note it down, like in Urdu. You must have studied Urdu. In Urdu, you used to have a band, be noon dal band, as in like 4-line stanza. And that is exactly what we call in English literature quatrain, a 4-line stanza. All right, 4-line stanza. And then we have couplet, which is of 2 lines. The rule about couplet is it always comes towards the end of the poem. Couplet are the 2-line verses, like a verse made of 2 lines. They would always give you what? A solution to the problem. They would make a prayer. They will make a wish. You know, couplet would always be very conclusive as it comes towards the end of a poem. And then you have a stressed syllable. Stressed syllables are very similar and unstressed syllable. So if you come across, for example, the word is, let's say, literature. So where do you think, is it on lit or is it on rature? Where is the stress? Like where is the stress upon? Is it on rature, literature, or is it a literature? How do you say this? The stress is on the first half or on the second half? Make a guess, come on.
First
Literature.
half.
The first half. Literature, LIT is the stressed. So we are going to make sure that it creates a rhythm. If you come across 5 stressed syllables in the same line, we will call it pentameter. Like you have pentagon, you have pentameter. So I'm not getting into more of these details. This is going to be continued, inshallah, in the next class. We are going to look at some of the other basics that we have. So we have stressed syllable, unstressed syllable, and what are the major themes that you'll study? Love, death. So is there any question over here? Please ask me. That is my next slide. Your turn to share your thoughts. What questions would you like to ask me? Please ask me. You must have questions. You're thinking brains. I'm not
Miss?
going to reach. Yes.
What is an unstressed syllable?
Unstressed syllable is rature part, like which is not being emphasized. Unstressed, that means that has not been emphasized over here. So I will be stopping, stop sharing over here, and I would be making you look at one of the most important things, because I'm dealing with poetry right now, so I better need to show you, for example, the next poem that we will be doing. So I will be just sharing one slide with you, and that is quite interesting. This is called, you will guess the theme, by the way. everything in literature has symbols and, it has signposts to deal with certain impressions. Yes, it's right over here. So I hope you can look over here. Let me present this. All right, so please ignore, this is not P4. Previously, in 2019 and 2020, this used to be paper 4 drama section, but now in 2021 onwards, it has been changed to paper 2. So you don't have to think and worry about it. But what do you see in this picture? What do you see in this
Obviously,
picture?
suicide.
It's a suicide, but no one has actually taken poison, I tell you. I just wanted to make my students click with an idea. You already had seen in the picture that there was a tree that was struck down by lightning, perhaps, we don't know, but this is standing over here, the main character, and his name is Joe Keller, Joe, Joe Keller. And this is symbolic of a tree. But what you see over here is, can you complete my sentence? What you see over here is what?
Plane.
A plane. And this seems to be, what kind of a plane?
Bomber.
A warplane.
A warplane, bomber, in any ways. And but why this has been incorporated with a tree? Because according to the mother, her son died. I mean, but she doesn't accept. No one accepts the death of their loved ones. You don't even imagine it or in your wildest of the dreams. And that is the basic concept. The people are struggling with their internal conscience as well as their external circumstances. So it's a clash with nature. Why my son has been taken away and he had died. So what she does, she plants a tree in the memory of her son in the backyard. And when nature strikes it with lightning, so what happens? It is an omen. It's an ominous sign that perhaps her son is never going to return. She has to admit it. How to study a play, this is going to be tomorrow's class, but I just want to give you a bit of an idea. This is a method which is called SQRR, triple R method. It works brilliantly in all of your plays. Either it's a Shakespearean play, it's a way classical play, or it's a modern play like this one that we're studying. So we have, the S stands for survey and research. Q stands for question. Survey research. Upon what are you going to do? You will study about Arthur Miller. What kind of a person was he? Why would you think he would end up writing All My Sons? Interesting story. He was sitting at the breakfast table and his mother-in-law was reading up a newspaper. And at the back side of the newspaper, there was a news that some of the company owners have manufactured defected cylinders for the war aircrafts. So any soldier who is flying this plane would end up to his own demise. And this character, who is the company owner, happens to be Joe Keller. So you have to look at what inspired the playwriter to compose such a play, what bigger message he wants to communicate to the world. Why would he want to make such a big contribution? So the survey is going to be required over here. This is your homework. You have to know what exactly inspired Arthur Miller to write about it. Then you have question. You will have questions then. Miss Nadia, why would this happen? I mean, it's ridiculous. Why would this character take such a decision at this point? It's not convincing. No. Let's discuss. It will provide you a lot of ways to think about it. Then you will find it interesting to read. And then R stands for recite. Recite means reading some of the important dialogues in the class. And then you have to review and analyze. This is my department. We are going to start off together. This is note on the text. We are remaining with only 2 more minutes, but I need to start up with my another class also. So I will stop right over here, and I would just ask you, did you understand me today? Did you
Yes,
understand?
miss. We
All right.
understood.
Thank you so much. Safat Beta, your feedback. Azhar Khalid is here.
Yes.
I can't. Okay, Azhar, did you understand? Do you find it like what? Share your impression, please. I would be happy to know.
It's interesting, at least for now.
At least for now. Well, you bet me. Inshallah, we're gonna keep the same thing. Alive. The spirit is going to be alive. I would definitely end my class with this part. I really, really want to. It says we are going to have a great year learning together, inshallah. And I added up this image which says Amen Corner. So it's like Amin. So yeah. Really happy to have 3 of you. Just remember that this is the beginning of our academic year. So initially, I have my 3 lovely students joining me, and on this bandwagon, we are going to have more, because by the end of August, we are going to be one big family. And trust me, this class is going to be your outlet and avenue to entertain yourself in all the hectic schedule of your study routine. And I am going to keep my words this way, inshallah. Okay, that's the end of our class today, 9 a.m. sharp. Looking forward to see you tomorrow. Take care. Thank you. I'm leaving the room.